I feel sorry to the fans because the fight is boring. The fight is boring. Like that's not the fans expecting to us.
Pretty certain Terence Crawford in his brain saying to himself, you know what I'm saying? If he actually goes through with it, he'll be 38 years of age next Sunday.
This guy right now in the sport that's supposed to be the man, big bad wolf, beat him, you the wolf. Now it's like, like, all right, well, someone fight. You beat the shark, you beat the wolf.
Manny Pacquiao has mocked Floyd Mayweather for calling out Terence Crawford, saying he feels sorry for the fans because this is not the type of fight boxing deserves. According to Pacquiao, the matchup would be boring and nothing more than an exhibition. He reminded everyone that Floyd has been retired for years and has not fought at a serious level in a long time, making the entire idea meaningless.
The fight is boring. Like that's not the fans expecting to us. I mean, as a fighter, if I'm a fan, of course I want to see a good fight, like changing fight, not a fashion show.
Pacquiao has not held back in his criticism of Mayweather. He expressed pity toward the retired champion, claiming that Floyd's priorities are now tied almost entirely to financial gain. According to Manny, Mayweather's return to the ring has nothing to do with legacy or competition, but is instead about squeezing money from exhibition spectacles. He described a potential showdown with Terence Crawford as an event motivated solely by greed rather than sport. For Pacquiao, this reflects a hollow approach to boxing that strips away the essence of competition, reducing the sport to a business performance, where fighters walking like models on a runway instead of warriors in the ring.
In the beginning of this conversation, you say, I don't like boastful people. How was it like fighting Mayweather then? Did he get on your nerves? Because I feel like he's a little bit more boastful than the people you might be wanting to hang out with.
Yeah, he's boastful. I think his God is the material things, money, everything like that. I'm pity with him because I want to share the word of God in him if he believes God.
Yeah. I've heard he's a generous man. I think he's done good things. I think, he kind of reminds me of like a lot of people are like this, by the way, including myself. I'm not just saying him.
Yeah.
I'm including myself. The man who goes up to Jesus and says, what should I do to get into heaven? He says, sell all your belongings. And he walked away crying because he couldn't sell his belongings.
Exactly.
The announcement that Floyd Mayweather and Mike Tyson will meet in 2026 sent shockwaves through the boxing world. Analysts quickly pointed out that this matchup does not represent two fighters at the peak of their powers, but is instead an entertainment spectacle designed for revenue. The bout is being marketed as a warm-up for Mayweather before a possible clash with Terence Crawford in the same year. Observers note that both events are structured around financial gain with massive pay-per-view numbers expected. Tyson still carries legendary status, while Floyd maintains his global brand, ensuring the fight will attract worldwide media attention despite lacking sporting significance.
As for Jake and Tyson and some people like the likes of Carl Froch viewed that as an endorsement. Like, look, man, I'm just working. It's a big opportunity to be on Netflix. I didn't put the fight together. I'm not paying these guys. So, let's chill out. But all right, I'm not going to poo-poo this. I just don't know what CSI is. And the way it was presented made me think that there was like a secondary press release to come, that they'll be involved in like some sort of like virtual boxing thing. Like, it just didn't seem real. You know why it didn't seem real? I'll tell you why. There's no date attached to it. There's no venue attached to it. Forget rules. Exhibition, not exhibition, weight. I mean, here's a guy who fought a heavyweight fighting forget all that. These things can get figured out, the fine details. The fact that it was announced, why announce something with no date or location attached to it? What's the point? Unless you're just trying to get people excited and trying to get them, trying to get some investors or something like that.
But maybe also testing the waters. If the response was overwhelmingly positive, maybe you go, okay, we move forward. If the response is muted or negative, maybe you go, okay, we're not going to actually do this. You lob it out there as a way to poll the public, and then make an adjustment.
You don't think it happens?
I do not think it happens. I just don't think there will be enough interest. I know they have huge name value. There's zero after the last performance by Mike Tyson against Jake Paul. I don't think there's going to be interest in seeing Mike Tyson do that again.
Terence Crawford has consistently spoken with admiration about Manny Pacquiao. He emphasized that Manny's career stands alone in boxing history. The Filipino legend captured titles across multiple weight divisions, often defeating bigger opponents. And winning against the odds, Crawford noted that Pacquiao's success was not only historic, but nearly impossible to repeat. He achieved greatness in a unique era by accepting challenges few others would even consider.
Man, a generationally talented fighter. Like, he accomplished what no other fighter is ever going to accomplish.
The idea of Terence Crawford facing David Benavidez has become a popular talking point among fans. Benavidez is regarded as one of the most dangerous fighters in the sport today, with size, youth, and aggression all, and his favorite supporters believe such a matchup would test Crawford in ways no other opponent has so far. Despite the excitement, no official confirmation has been made, leaving the debate in the realm of speculation. The discussion underscores a hunger among boxing fans for meaningful, high-risk fights that go beyond
The world, not me, but shock the world. This past Saturday, Mexican Independence Day weekend, where he took on and defeated another first ballot Hall of Famer, but he essentially jumped up 3 weight classes, technically 2, from 154 to 168, but only had 1 fight at 154 last August against Israel Majimov. Terence Crawford defeated Saul Canelo Alvarez, who was a 4-division champion, 2-time undisputed super middleweight, and the reigning, at the time, super middleweight world champion, undisputed world champion. And Terence Crawford beat him handily and convincingly. And because he beat him so easily, now the 63 win, 3 loss, 2 draw, 39 win by way of knockout, biggest threat has been now imposed on Terence Crawford. And that's the Mexican Ecuadorian monster, David Benavidez, who is a 2-division undefeated world champion, is the 2-time WBC middleweight and reigning WBC light heavyweight, 175-pound champion, who has a record of 30 wins, no loss, no draw, and 24 wins by way of knockout. Stands 6'2" with 75-inch wins. This is a fight that David Benavidez has been calling from for Canelo Alvarez when he was at 168, and Canelo Alvarez strategically maneuvered around him. But Canelo Alvarez is 5'7", with a 70-inch army, started his career at 147 pounds, made his real name 154 pounds. He's not a big guy, okay? And styles make fights. Benavidez is 6'2" with a 75-inch army. His last fight at 168 against Demetrius Andre, he rehydrated to 193. So he's a big guy. Canelo Alvarez probably rehydrate to 182, maybe 185 max, right? He's not a big guy, right?
Trainer Greg Hackett spoke with admiration when analyzing Terence Crawford's stunning victory over Canelo Alvarez. He referred to Canelo as the shark of boxing, a symbol of dominance who had controlled the sport with strength and skill for years. And Hackett's view Crawford not only faced Canelo, but dismantled him, signaling a shift in power. At the very top of boxing, beating the fighter once seen as untouchable makes Crawford the new predator. In the waters the man every contender must now fear. Hackett's remarks also raise an important question about the future. If Crawford could handle the toughest fighter of his generation, who is left that can truly test him? Fans now debate whether he will continue fighting long enough to meet such challenges or retire at the peak of his dominance.
Because you got to remember, Canelo is the guy right now in the sport that's supposed to be the man, you know, big bad wolf. You beat him, you the wolf. Now it's like, you know what I mean? Like, all right, who else I'm going to fight? You beat the shark, you beat the wolf. Man, like, you know what I mean? Ain't no more ops out there. There's ops out there, but who gonna make them really want to get up?
That shit gotta make sense. Like you said, sharks can be the wolf, but there's the monster.
Yeah, there is, but that's like a real monster.
Bro, that don't make sense. But that's what monster. Yo, is that proof? All right, we got the legendary tape in the building. Legend.
Sure, man.
But what makes sense? Like, what makes the most sense? I know you said get a line of suits, Brooks Brothers.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Your line shoes, get your money. Man. Go ahead and get the easy money. Man. You ain't gotta sweat no more. Not saying you ain't gotta work, you ain't gotta sweat. He's paved a career where he could sit down at a table and get this money. He could come out with a Terence Crawford series now, just doing whatever he like to do. Who gonna watch? Nobody. The fighting part, people don't understand what it's like to be a fighter. Really, a lot of times the fighters really don't be interested in certain fights. It's when a guy see himself up here and is fighting a guy down here, it don't interest him. So therefore, when he train, he not gonna really train. He's gonna train, but he not gonna train. He not gonna listen. He gonna feel like his coach taking it too serious, and he's like, man, this ain't even that. But your coach like, listen, you can get fucked up. I'm telling you, you don't want to listen. Then you go in there and fight that guy. Then you get
Analysts widely agree that Terence Crawford's dominant victory over Canelo Alvarez marked a defining moment in his career and ended any serious debate about his place in boxing history. Before this fight, many fans already respected Crawford for his decisive win against Errol Spence, where he displayed complete control and silenced critics who would question his level of opposition. However, defeating Canelo carried even. Greater significance, Canelo had long been viewed as one of the sport's strongest pound-for-pound fighters, a champion who reigned across multiple divisions and regularly fought bigger opponents. Crawford not only met that challenge, but dismantled him in a manner few thought possible by doing. So he proved that his skill set is not limited to one weight class or one style. Instead, he showcased adaptability, technical brilliance, and mental toughness at the highest level. Today, observers almost universally recognize Crawford as one of the rare fighters who has truly conquered every challenge placed before him.
I think there was enough action, and I think Crawford displayed his skill enough, even to someone with not the most trained eye, that they know they saw a very high-level athlete perform something at a very high level last night. I think he gained the sports world's attention last night and respect. He already did after Spence, but it went to another level in this fight.
And I think even the fight itself, like just from a median level, but then the moments where they were having these exchanges, like kind of late in the fight, then people were like, all right, it was good. Then like, okay. I saw somebody like, they're squabbing. Like, there's a fight here. So I think it did.
And Crawford closed the show.
Yeah.
In 10, 11, 12, he stood in there and landed some hard shots and rocked Canelo at the bell. He didn't. Well, James is talking about the great Floyd Mayweather. Floyd would go up on you 8-0 and then coast, and you might as well turn the fight off at midway through the ninth. Like, you know, he's not gonna. But Crawford didn't do that. He wasn't up 8-0, to be fair to Floyd. But Floyd was when he fought Canelo, so he could do that. But instead steps on the gas. Bud is a finisher. You know, he closes really strong. He closes really strong in every exchange. That's one of his gifts. He's the best counterpuncher of his era, one of the greatest counterpunchers that lived. But the great fighters, James would tell us about this. James and Mike McCallum put on fights that exemplify what I'm talking about: initiating and punctuating, being first, being last. That's one of the things that makes Crawford who he is. So no, I think it was a good enough fight that it certainly didn't hurt boxing.
Yeah, I think Sport of Boxing delivered last night. I mean, Crawford didn't deliver. Yeah. Manny.
The debate between Terence Crawford and Floyd Mayweather has become one of the most compelling conversations in modern boxing. Many analysts argue that Mayweather's defensive genius, impeccable timing, and unmatched ring IQ would have given him the upper hand. Had the two ever clashed in their primes, Floyd was a master at neutralizing his opponent's strengths, dictating the pace, and forcing world-class challengers into uncomfortable positions. His undefeated record is often cited as proof of his ability to adjust to any style. On the other side, a growing number of voices believe Crawford's adaptability, punching power, and relentless composure could have made him Mayweather's toughest opponent. Crawford's ability to switch stances seamlessly and apply pressure in intelligent bursts sets him apart from most fighters. Floyd face supporters suggests his unpredictability and finishing instinct might have forced Floyd into exchanges he normally avoided. Ultimately, this comparison underscores two different shades of greatness. Mayweather built his legacy on control, precision, and calculated dominance, while Crawford thrives on versatility, aggression, and high-level adjustments. The debate may never be settled, but it highlights the respect both champions inspire across generations.
Prime Mayweather and Prime Crawford, I've tended to lean slightly towards Mayweather. But after that performance there against Canelo, not just the fact he won, the manner in which he won, I've changed my mind. I would now lean towards Prime Crawford over Mayweather. And the reason I say this is because of the expert way in which Terence Crawford mixed offensive in the pocket boxing with defensive on the move boxing. Not running, save for maybe a round or two. No, just moving nicely. Because if there's one area of Floyd Mayweather's game that was undeveloped, it's his front foot game. Whenever Mayweather was forced to walk an opponent down, what he did was actually very basic. He would hold his hands up and he would walk forward throwing straight right hands. Okay, they were accurate straight right hands. They were well-timed straight right hands. But there wasn't a whole heap of head movement. There wasn't a whole heap of creative or dynamic footwork, coming forward, walking somebody down. No, it was very, very basic stuff. And I don't think an approach that basic would have worked against, let's say, a Tommy Hearns, who was 6'1", 6'2", 78-inch reach, massive puncher, good hand speed. So I always thought that a prime Tommy Hearns would beat prime Mayweather, because I can't see Mayweather doing what Ray Leonard did, grabbing the bull by the horns and taking it to Tommy Hearns. Can't see him doing that, and if he did try and do it, he's going to get clipped. Tommy Hearns hit so hard, that guard from Mayweather wouldn't be enough, in my opinion. And I never saw Mayweather on the front foot moving his head a lot. When he's in the middle of the ring or on the back foot, when he's being defensive, yeah, that's when he moves his head. Famous Philly shell defense, the shoulder roll and all that. Coming forward, no, it's a lot more basic. Go watch Mayweather's old fights, you'll see what I'm talking about. Whenever he's forced to come forward, it's basic stuff. And so, after watching Crawford's performance against Canelo, I got to thinking, you know what? Maybe Crawford employs similar tactics if he fights a prime Mayweather.
With his accomplishments stacking up, Crawford now finds himself at a crossroads. Fans are calling for him to take on new challenges, whether it be Benavidez, Jermall Charlo, or other big names. Yet there is also the very real possibility that Crawford chooses retirement rather than continuing to take risks at 37. He has little left to prove and could walk away while still on top. This uncertainty creates tension among fans who fear the sport might lose one of its few active greats at a time when boxing desperately needs marquee fight.
Deliver the job to Terence Crawford. The fighter show me.
The better they deliver the job.
Young, the most important part, it's when he said, don't retire.
No retirement.
This is what you guys are missing. Pacquiao Sheik was trying to say, return the favor.
You want the job ain't done. Yeah.
Bud interrupted him by saying the job ain't done, which prompted Pacquiao Sheik to say, yeah, deliver the job. But that's not what he was on. He was on the fourth part, return the favor. But Turkey, in a second thought, he goes back to Bud and he says, and don't retire.
No retirement.
That's what Turkey meant when he was trying to say, return the favor. I did this for you, you got this big fight, but don't retire. Return the favor.
UFC legend Daniel Cormier has become one of the latest voices to praise Terence Crawford while reacting to Ilia Topuria's surprising call-out. Cormier, respected for his deep understanding of combat sports, acknowledged that Topuria is on an impressive rise in mixed martial arts and has the momentum of a future superstar. Yet despite the hype, Cormier made it clear that he would still put his confidence in Crawford. Without hesitation, he stated that Crawford has already proven why he deserves recognition as the greatest active fighter in the sport today. With his resume and dominance speaking louder than speculation, what makes Cormier's words especially powerful is that they come from outside boxing, showing that Crawford's influence has reached beyond his discipline. His greatness is recognized not just inside the ring, but across the entire combat sports world.
That Ilia Topuria could knock Terence Crawford out, no chance. If I had to bet Ilia Topuria versus Terence Crawford, I'm betting Terence Crawford. I mean, he's the best boxer in the world, and this is what he does, and he's done his entire life. But we also knew that about Conor McGregor and Floyd Mayweather. We knew, right, deep down, that Conor McGregor was not going to knock out Floyd Mayweather. But because of what we had seen him do inside of the octagon, what we had seen him do to all those great fighters in MMA, when he walked into that ring, people thought he had a chance. He didn't really have a chance. Conor never had a chance against Floyd Mayweather. And it would feel that way with Topuria. But you could at least tell that there's a chance because of how good he is in boxing and how he knocks people out inside the UFC. Initially, I thought Bud Crawford would just no-sell Ilya Topuria, right? When you're the king and everybody's calling your name, you can literally just ignore them and nobody will say anything about it. But Bud Crawford isn't one to